As we all know, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez won. She won bigly. There, how's that sound, guys?
Bigly, nice.
She won bigly.
Good irony.
But it's again, this shows you just how inept and stupid the Democratic Party is, especially this guy Crowley, who did this whole song and dance to basically say that I'm going to support Ocasio and I'm going to help her out.
This is for Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez.
And everything else, but no, he's still on the ballot and he's running as a third-party candidate.
Literally a song.
Yeah, he sung a Bruce Springsteen.
And it was very clear that that was his own victory song. He's like, I didn't expect this to happen.
Yeah, and so now, again, this kind of goes back to an old statement said by Jimmy Dore that the Democrats would rather lose to a Republican than have a progressive or Democratic socialist win. And it's quite clear that Alexandria has a huge following. She has a huge infrastructure support. She's got support of DSA as well as numerous other progressive groups. But again, clearly, Crowley is still on the ballot. So let's go in a little bit more in depth about what's happening here. So he's still on the ballot, and he had an opportunity to actually get off of the ballot, but instead his campaign is still going through with it.
And in that note, so let's go with what that means, why that is the case. So the way New York law works with parties, if someone wins a nomination but they want to leave, like Alexandria had the same thing. She won a Working Families Party vote in another district, and she turned it down, which means that party can now nominate someone else if they choose to for that seat. But you need someone to either move out of the area, die. I think there's one other thing, or just say I decline the nomination. So what Crowley's done is he's had this whole song and dance of, I'm going to make sure everyone I lost. I'm going to be gracious. I'm going to help Alexandria win, and so that's not the case because even the Working Party, the people, which was a huge issue that they nominated him in the first place and snubbed Alexandria, which is the reason that they're in that spot in the first place. Mm-hmm. I don't know why they thought that getting Crowley in would help them at all. So now they want to actually put someone else in, and they're like, Crowley, get out. We don't want you. Alexandria's like, hey, get out. We don't want you. And Crowley was like, I promise I will get out. But like Kit said, he's refusing to say, take me off the ballot.
And also, on top of that, we got to remember just what kind of win this was. And I'm going to hand it over to Paul real quick. Okay, remember, Crowley was the heir apparent to Nancy Pelosi, all right? Alexandria Ocasio's win was so big that it basically disrupted the Democratic establishment's chain of command and power, all right? So now that he's gone, that ruins Nancy Pelosi's plans as well as the Democratic establishment plans. And by him remaining on the ballot, he could just say, like, look, just help me out, Nancy Pelosi and Democratic establishment, and I can win. So again, like, the Democrats are going to back this loser who is acting like a child.
Isn't it interesting how the Democrats in every election when this happened demand unity? Hey, get behind the winner. When we win, you stand behind us. But when it's the other way around, well, I'm going to stay silent. I'm not going to say anything against it because you know that if Alexandria had lost and she did what Crowley's doing, every Democrat across the country on every single cable TV show would be screaming at her for being a sore loser.
But again,
it's some murmurs.
The neoliberal establishment will not say a thing. They're going to remain silent. They're going to be cowards. And again, the Democratic establishment, this is why you lose elections. This is why no one respects you. This is why when it comes down to key seats of power, you're losing to Democratic Socialists of America, and you're losing
and Republicans.
So the thing is, you demand unity, you demand respect, you demand people to fall in line. But how can we respect you guys when you keep on losing? And not to mention, this isn't the first time the Democratic establishment refuses to step in or call for unity or even that remain neutral. Look at the governor's race in New York and how they're backing up Cuomo, and instead they're throwing Cynthia Nixon on the train tracks, man.
Yeah,
like they're disrespecting her.
Mm-hmm. Tom Perez, DNC. Yeah. I will promise to be neutral in all elections for this one.
And what does he do? The Democratic establishment endorses Cuomo for governor. So again, like I know, Paul, you want to mention a follow up with this story.
Yeah, there's a whole lot to go with this story, and part of it to tack on what you guys are saying. Think about the number of times Democrats are willing to fight hard and fight dirty against Republicans. Oh, wait, that doesn't happen.
No, they never do.
They roll over at the first opportunity. Oh, we can't do this. But as soon as a progressive comes in and challenges their seat, they are willing to fight dirty. The Working Families Party doesn't want Crowley to be on the ballot. But because there's some legal hurdles to jump through to rescind their endorsement from early on, he's just going to latch on to that and be like, well, I'm on the ballot. And while he, vigorously, he said he would vigorously support Ocasio-Cortez's candidacy, he's obviously not going to do that through being on the ballot. And this is that kind of like...
He's also showed her up on a number of phone calls.
Yeah, and apparently also his campaign is indicating that her campaign is being childish and politically craven, when in fact it was her campaign that reached out to them and said, like, hey, what's going on here? I thought we were having unity. I thought
his literal response to this is, no, I'm gaslighting you.
Yeah, and again, it doesn't make him look like a strong political player. It doesn't make him look like...
This just makes the Democratic Party look even weaker, that in defeat they just snivel and cry.
It's childish. Yeah. And you look at the rest of the Democratic Party, and they're obviously on Crowley's side. Look at what Tammy Duckworth said. When asked, I forget what show she was on, but she was asked if this is the new direction of the Democratic Party, and she basically echoed that now standard Democratic Party line of like, oh, Ocasio-Cortez won in this
it was a
super special district.
Yeah.
They'll never win the Midwest. And it's like, I'm sorry, I'm pretty sure Bernie Sanders won Michigan and a lot of Midwest states like Kansas. When Clinton was on the ballot, Trump won.
He won Wisconsin. Bernie Sanders won Wisconsin, Michigan,
all the states
Indiana.
Hillary lost.
Yeah,
right.
I think you won. I think you also won Minnesota too.
Yeah. But what's important is that we shouldn't change strategy. We should do the exact same thing we did before, despite the fact that we lost the House, the Senate, and the executive branch.
The truth is, people, why are they doing this? You have to understand, in a rules for rulers sense, everything that's happened is very obvious why it's happening.
Right.
It's that they're not in power to govern. They're, in a sense, like business people.
Yeah.
This is how they make money. If
you're
Nancy
people
Pelosi,
who donate to the Republican Party are the same people who donate to the Democratic
Party. But it's
Party.
like Nancy Pelosi. She says she's a master legislator. That's just a talking point. What she's really good at is raising money and making herself rich and having personal power. For the Democratic Party, it's just like the Republican.
Not good at public speaking.
It's about getting and maintaining your own power and building it in a hierarchy. Screw the people you represent. It's about me and my power and me building up that power and that money and that wealth. That's why congressmen are millionaires. And people it's so funny when people attack Sanders like, oh, he has a second house when he is a... It's almost impossible to be poor when you're a senator.
He's literally the least wealthy senator
of
all of the senators.
And the
in
Democrats
both
are like, oh, he has a house and he has a $60,000. It's like,
and a $700 jacket.
But here's the thing.
How dare he?
The Democratic establishment doesn't inspire loyalty or confidence or trust.
It only does on the inside.
Only it does on the inside. But here's another issue too that maybe we haven't even looked at, is that maybe Crowley's also being told not to get off the ballot by Nancy Pelosi because this must have really affected her bottom line.
Yeah, because this causes an entire leadership shakeup where he was pretty much it was funny from his point of view. He had been enemies with her for like 8 years, and he finally gets her to like him, and he's like, I'm finally going to be the next speaker, and then he gets knocked out. So he's at the pinnacle of career, and he falls. And now internally in the Democratic Party there is a big shakeup, and there are certain people that are much more left-leaning. They're not maybe progressives as we would see like with Sanders or Alexandria, but they're much more left-leaning than Nancy Pelosi or Crowley is, that now have a chance of being that person.
So Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez made an excellent point along these lines. We're talking about sort of progressive candidates versus your establishment candidates. Joanne Reed, 6 months ago or so, had said, listen, all candidates take corporate money. And now we just had Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez win her primary without taking any corporate money, and she points out, very rightly so, there are 60 candidates, either in their primaries or have already won their primaries, that do not take corporate money.
If you get a chance to see that interview, it's really funny because her face is just like...
Her face is amazing.
Just deer in a headlight, like, oh, man.
Is that true?
And so Joanne is like one, just to get a little bit off Alexander to Joanne, she's one of the worst shills that exist in media. She's nothing more than a propagandist like Sean Hannity. She has been gaslighting progressives and just making things up.
For the last 2 years.
For the last 2 years. And as soon as they've been on the radar, she's been trying to squash progressives. And now, what's really funny in my point of view is from that media perspective, as these wins continue to build up, the media has made a strong enemy of progressives over the years. And so as progressives continue to take power, they're going to start kissing their asses. That's going to happen more. But I think what's funny is we have like media like ourselves, TOT, a lot of other stations who are eventually going to be the progressive and be like, why would I ever go on mainstream media and share my power? Because all mainstream media is built on is, how can I get in so I can get access? But why would progressives give access to people that want to stab them in the back when they can just go online?
Yeah.
So they're going to start realizing, oh no, we're going to either they're going to be worried now about their money, or they're going to realize at some point that they don't have. What's MSN going to do when political pundits that aren't in power anymore, or people that were from an old non-progressive, they're going to be irrelevant.
Or either that, they're going to twist it. Because here's the thing.
But that's only going to work for so long.
The neoliberal establishment system that we have, especially corporate media, they are incapable of change, and they're going to die out. It's a simple fact. No one trusts corporate media.
Their business
they're all
model
friends.
itself is falling apart.
They're
too.
all friends. Fox News, CNN, MSNBC, CBS, whatever. All right. At the end of the day, it might look like they're fighting each other, saying, "Oh, Fox News is bad, CNN is bad." They're all friends with each other.